Guys, so this is going to be lesson number 3, our last lesson of the week, and it's week number 7. And as we had our last algebra class during lesson 2, we're going to start this one. We're going to start number patterns, which is lesson number 3. So remember we did patterns before. So we looked at different patterns. This is going on to look at patterns again. It's just in more detail and it uses a bit of algebra. So that's why I skipped to do algebra in between these two topics. So this is chapter 32 in the book. Okay. So we'll have a look through some of this. We won't be homework. I need homework today because it is lesson 3. It's our last lesson of the week. And as per agreement, we don't do homework on in lesson number 3. Same as we're in school. Okay, so just to look at if we have a term, something like this one here. So see this number sequence here. So I say to you, you have 3, you have 9, you have 15, and you have 21. So if I was to go out here and have a look at that, I have 3, 9, 15, and 21. You'd probably tell me the difference between here and here is 6. The difference between here and here is 6. And the difference between here and here is 6. So the common difference there is going to be 6, and you could tell me then that this is actually linear from our first chapter on patterns. Okay, and that's fine. The problem arises when we come across something like this. If we're asked to find the 50th term, so on our sequence there we have term 1, term 2, term 3, and term 4. But what if they ask us to find the 50th term? That's when we come into a bit of difficulty. So it would be nice to have some sort of expression. I know you're sick of that word from algebra, but some sort of expression that allows us to calculate the 50th term. And what we describe a sequence in this as a general term. So our general term, or Tn. So a general term that allows us to find whatever number we want. And it's pronounced the nth term. So Tn is pronounced the nth term. And there's your definition for it there. So Tn, or the nth term, is a term of a sequence, a formula that will find the term value when we input the term number. Okay. So we can find whatever number we want. So we could find the 50th term by inputting the 50 number. Let me just show you a quick example of that. So if we have a term like this, so here's an nth term for you here, 5n plus 1. And what they want us to do is find the first, the second, and the 10th term in this sequence. So by inputting the number, you can find whatever sequence you want. So see, our first term is going to be obviously n equals 1. Our second one is going to be n equals 2. And our third one is going to be n equals 3. So you have a look what they did. They took 5n plus 1. Here it is. And they subbed in 1 for the first term, 2 for the second term, and 10 for the 10th term. And if you multiply 5 by 1, you get 5. Add 1 to it, so the term 1 is going to be equal to 6. If we sub in 5 by 2, we're going to give us 10. 10 plus 1 is 11. If we want to find the 10th term, we sub in 10. 5 by 10 gives us 50. So we end up with 51. So we can find any term, as opposed to us going along and looking for and subbing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and going up in that row to finally get to 51. We can just sub in the number. Okay, so moving on then. So if we have another one here, if we have the general term is 6n minus 3, we can write down the first 4 terms. So we want to write down the first 4 terms. Have a look what they've done. So you sub in, instead of n, you can sub in 1, you can sub in 2, you can sub in 3, and you can sub in 4. And that then gives us our answers. So our answers then are going to, when you sub them in, you get 3, 9, 15, and 21. So that gives us, and see there the term 1, term 2, term 3, and term 4. And then we can work out, is the difference common between the first, second, third, and fourth? And it is there. Look, difference between 3 and 9 is 6. Difference between 9 and 15 is 6. Difference between 15 and 21 is 6. So it's an extra step onto what we would have done before. Okay. So if we look at the common difference of those four terms, so if we have a look at this one here, so here's term 1, here's term 2, here's term 3, and here's term 4. So we have, and the way they work this out is 6 by 1 is 6. So you see they did that. They did that up here. 6 by 1 is going to be 6, 6 by 2, 6 by 3, and 6 by 4. So this table is the same thing. We have 6 by 1, 6 by 2, 6 by 3, and 6 by 4. And then you'll see in all of these, they took away 3, took away 3, took away 3, took away 3. So they took away 3, and there's the same numbers again. So you see you have 3, 9, 15, and 21. The same way you had 3, 9, 15, and 21 up there. Okay? But if we want to find the nth term, instead of multiplying by 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, we multiply 6 by n and take away 3. So our term is going to be 6n minus 3. So by looking at those numbers, we can get an nth term from it. Now, another way of finding it, and this is, some people like working out tables of patterns. I want you to learn this formula here. And to be honest with you, you don't even need to learn it because, sorry, there's the formula there, sorry. I want you to learn this formula here. Now, to be honest, you don't need to, because there's a thing called a book of tables, or a formula and tables book, and this equation, there it is in that book, one that you can take into your junior cert with you. But for now, I want you to know that formula. A plus n minus 1 times d. Okay? And I'll show you why I want you to learn that, just to tell you what the letters mean. A is your first term. D is the common difference. D is the common difference. And n, we don't know. N is going to, not A. N is going to be what changes. So what you're going to sub in. So it can be the nth term, or it can be what you're going to sub in. So let's have a look at that formula being used. Let's go down here and have a look. So find the general term. So we have, if we take part A here, right? So here's our terms here. Here's our pattern. 2, 7, 12, and 17. All right? So I want to use this formula here. A plus n minus 1 times d. Now remember what they mean. A is the first term. And d is the common difference. Again, so if I look at that part A then, what's our first term in part A? It's 2, isn't it? What's our common difference? What's the difference between 2 and 7? It's going to be 5. What's the difference between 7 and 12? It's going to be 5. What's the difference between 12 and 17? It's going to be 5. So for part A, we have a look. They've worked that out for us. They're saying A is 2, because that's the first term, and D is 5. So what they do is, they write out the formula. There's the formula written out there. And it's A plus n minus 1 times D. So they've subbed in for A and subbed in for D. A is the first term and D is the common difference. They've written them out for there. So you then, because you just come out of algebra, you're going to multiply your 5 by the n and your 5 by the minus 1. So what that works out, 5 by n gives you 5n, 5 by minus 1 gives you minus 5, and then your 2 is out there by itself. So if you add, I shouldn't have put them, I'll just get rid of that line and change to a different colour because it's different. So 2 minus 5 gives you minus 3, and 5n stays the way it is. If you're into the table, you can do it that way as well. So you have two ways of doing it. Personally, I like the formula because I think it's much quicker. A plus n minus 1 times d. Let's have a look at part B then as well, right? Part B over here is these ones here. minus numbers. -3, -5, -7, -9. Same formula, a plus n minus 1 times d. So I can tell you straight away what they're going to be. Well, a is the first term, so a is going to be -3, and d, what's d going to be? We're going from here to here, I'm taking away 2. Going from here to here, I'm taking away 2. Going from here to here, I'm taking away 2. So d is going to be -2. So let's go down and have a look at the solution then. So what they do, we're going to stick with method 2 again. I'll zoom out slightly so you can see the question and the answer. There you go. So we're down here at the bottom, a plus n minus 1 times d. So here's our formula again. And we've worked out that a is -3 and d is -2. There, so have they. And we sub it in. So here's a different colour. A plus n minus 1 multiplied by d. Be careful with the signs here because we have a minus here, a minus here, and a minus here. You've got to be careful with the signs. But we'll take it nice and slow. And we then look and we say, right, we're going to multiply -2 by the first one and -2 by the second one. Just the -2 is on the far side of the brackets, but it doesn't matter because it's connected to the bracket. So -3 stays the same. If you multiply -2 by n, it gives you -2n. And if you multiply -2 by -1, it's going to give you +2 because you have a minus and a minus. And then I'm after putting it, I'll put them in different colours because they're different things. -3 plus 2 gives us -1, and -2n stays the same way it is. So there is your term. And again, you can do that in the brackets as well. Okay, so you can multiply this by -1, this by 2, and it will give you the same answer. Okay, personally I like method 2 more than method 1. Okay, last one for today, and I'll give you a couple of questions then to keep you going during the rest of the class. Okay, so we have here is, I'll make it as big as I can make it. And this is quite a difficult question, to be honest with you, but we'll go through it nice and slow. So you remember these patterns. If you have a look at here, there's here's pattern 1, here's pattern 2, and here's pattern 3. So in pattern 1, how many straws? I always, before I even look at the question, I say, well, how many straws have I got? I have 4 straws in there, I have 7 straws in here, and I have 10 straws in there. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 I have, right. Write down the formula that represents the number of straws for each pattern. And clearly explain all the letters used in the formula. And you can see what they did there. They have, well, here's pattern 1, here's pattern 2, and here's pattern 3. So you can say, well, the difference between 4 and 7 is 3. The difference between 7 and 10 is going to be 3 as well. So we're going to sub it into our formula. So in this solution, they did it using the table. Personally, I wouldn't. I would do a plus n minus 1 times d. So I'm going to do that out on the right hand side for you. So I'm going to say, well, okay, our formula is a plus n minus 1 times d. A is and d is. So a is going to be our first term, which is going to be 4. And d is going to be our common difference, which is 3. Because it's 3 in between them all. So let's see, do we get the same answer in our one as they get down the bottom, 3n plus 1. So we're going to have 4 plus n minus 1 times 3. We're going to multiply the 3 by the n and the 3 by the minus 1. So we're going to end up with 4 plus 3n minus 3. Or we're going to end up with, so our circle was the same. So this is going to work out as 3n, and 4 minus 3 is 1. So there's our answer for part A. How many straws will pattern 50 need? Okay, how many straws will pattern 50 need? Okay. So for part B, so well, if we have 3n plus 1, so see the way they did it there. If we have 3n, or they change p for pattern, which is the same thing, so they have 3p plus 1 as opposed to 3n plus 1. So if they're saying, well, how many straws will pattern 50 need? Well, we let P, or we let N, in our case, equals 50. And we just sub it in, 3 multiplied by 50 plus 1, or, so you can see there, we have 3n plus 1. So it would just be 3 by 50 plus 1, which is equal to 151. And for C, what number pattern will require 226 straws? So in this case, we let, so they're using S's and P's. They're letting S equals 226. So you're going to have 226 is 3p plus 1. And then what we do is we work out what p is. So we bring the 1 over here, change the sign. So what it works is out as 3p is 225. So 226 minus 1 is 225. And then if you have 3p is equal to 225, 1p is going to be equal to 75. So 225 divided by 3 gives you 75. So 226 straws will be in the 75th pattern. That is quite a difficult one to get your head around. So for the rest of today's class, what I want you guys to do is just the basics around terms. It will take you about 20 minutes or so. You might have to watch this twice. You might have to go back to the examples and have a look. So question 1, in each case, what you're looking for is the first, second, third, and 100th term of the sequence. So for all of these questions here, for A, B, C, D, E, and F, you're going to sub in those numbers. You're going to sub in a 1, you're going to sub in a 2, you're going to sub in a 3, and you're going to sub in 100, wherever you see an N, for all of those ones there. Okay? For the second one, you're going to find the first term, the common difference. So the first term is the first number. The common difference is what's the difference in between all of them. The nth term, so what's the general term? So you know how you're going to find that, don't you? A plus n minus 1 times d. And the value of the given term. So there's a good chunk of work in that. There's at least half an hour of work in those 2 questions there. But I want you to give them a good shot. Lay them all out. If you can only do parts A, B, and C, you can't do D, well, that's what you're going to correct in class on Monday. Okay, so give those a shot. I don't want you doing any more than the duration of the class, because we do have that agreement that we don't do homework on the 3rd lesson of the week. But I want you to use the examples and try and get as many of them out as you can in question 1 and question 2. Okay. Right, so I'll be chatting to you all on science on Thursday, and best of luck with those. Any questions at all, or if you're stuck, just give me a shout and I will go through them with you. Right, mind yourselves. Bye-bye.